Welcome in the House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me as always is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for Sports Illustrated MMQB. And Gilbert, we have a big matchup to preview here between the Rams and the Seahawks, number one seed up in, you know, I guess that's up for grabs here. There's a lot to kind of get into. And we also had Sean Bay with his second child being born. We have a lot to get into, but I have to ask you right off the bat, just because it's been going on for the whole day about some of the decisions that Puka Nakua seems to be making, whether you go back to the offseason with the whole baby drama. Now he goes on a stream, he calls out the Revs and says that, they're lawyers or they're being paid. And then he's trying to get them into the facility. And Sean McVay says, no, you can't have that going on. So with everything going on, Gilbert, as you prepare to take on your rival here for the division up in the air, what do you feel like? What is Puka thinking here with what he's been doing lately?
Yeah, you're calling it a big game. I think it's a big game, but does Puka Nakua think it's a big game? He's like, having fun with streamers. Like this is things you do in the off season and or even in a regular week. This is a short week where you have a big time showdown in Seattle, a road game also, by the way. So I don't know. I'm not trying to say that Puka Nakua won't be ready for this game. He always comes to play. You could tell football is his passion. He puts it all on the line on the field. But who told him this would be a good idea? There's a lot of distractions right here that you just listed. For the old school people here, Puka Nakua has been hanging out with some, I guess, streamers, YouTubers, Twitch people. I
Twitch.
don't know. I can't keep up with the live stream influencers, and they're kind of the ones that like to stir the pot. They do wild things for the clicks and the attention, and when you do something that's not normal and it's kind of peculiar and it's like, ugh, why did you do that? That's the type of crowd that those people like to bring. And so, one, why are you hanging out with them? But I get it; they're popular. I'm not young. I'm not Puka Nakua's age. He's like what, 12 years younger than I am. I don't get it with that crew, but trying to bring them to the facility on a short week, the biggest game of the regular season. Of course, Sean McVay is going to say no. And then you put them on blast by you're recorded on the phone saying, "Yeah, coach said no," and then people could hear that you're telling them this information. And then the whole thing with the referees, I get people are mad with referees, but you have to know if you're going to say things like that on their platform, it's going to pick up. And you know, and Fernando, mentioned this. I'm glad he said this about me. I don't really care for mainstream, news or mainstream streamers. I didn't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but I underestimated these people's reach. And it's been a lot of needless drama. I'm like, man, this is a lot of crowd that the team doesn't need. But again, he's going to come to play. He's going to ball out. They need him a lot more than usual because Devontae Adams is going to be out. So yeah, it's just things you don't want to start a short week with.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking about a Rams team that since Shock McVay and Les Need have been a part of this organization, one of the things they've been really good at is limiting distractions. Whenever I can't think of the last thing where it was such a big thing where it just took over for them. I guess the only thing was the whole Stafford stuff with the back, but that was an injury. Outside of that, whenever,
In the summer.
something pops up, they take care of it, they nip it in the bud, and it just doesn't become a problem. And with this, it just feels like Puka's trying to see and test this organization to see how much stuff he can get away with. And this is the worst time to kind of be doing it too, as you mentioned. It's just I don't understand why you would do something like that, especially on a short week. Maybe do it after you've played the Seahawks on a short week
Yeah.
where you have a mini bye,
And
but
after you get your contract, you don't want to be
after you
doing
get
like
your
the
contract,
knucklehead
exactly.
stuff before you get paid, and you put it in the front office mind. Like, this guy trustworthy? Can we pay him? Doing amateur hour stuff like that. But again, he's a great player, so I'm sure he'll be
Yep.
fine.
Yep, but we have a great show for you guys. We have a lot to cover here with this preview between the Rams and the Seahawks. We'll have latest news and notes. There's even more drama going on with news and notes, Gilbert. Plus, we'll get into storylines for both teams going into this matchup, and lastly, we'll do our game predictions. But before we get into our preview, Gilbert, what is the engagement question for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, I think James Wheelock has been on it. So yeah, what are the keys to a Rams victory in Seattle? The weather is pretty bad. I think I was reading that there's a bunch of flooding because of all the rain there. I don't know if that's affecting Seattle per se. I think maybe some of the neighboring cities outside of Seattle have been hit harder. But yeah, weather's going to be a factor there. Maybe just run the football a lot. Don't mess around with the rain by throwing the football. Run the ball with Corum and Kyron. That could be the key here. I know James is saying that right now in the comments. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Master Lex, for getting the comments going. Maybe I've been calling them out. You've been calling them out too, Vic. Maybe this is a game where the pass rush comes alive. Go sack Sam Darnold. Put a lot of pressure where you force him into more mistakes, into more turnovers. And we saw the first time around when he gets rattled early on, he's gonna make mistake after mistake after mistake, and it snowballs for him. And luckily he has a defense that was able to shut down the Rams offense in the second half where he had a chance to maybe steal the game. But you always want to go off that blueprint where you follow you put pressure on the quarterback. If he has 4 interceptions, more times than not, even when you almost blew the lead, you're gonna win that game. So there are a lot of keys here for this game. We're gonna break it down for which direction this game might go.
Yeah, and I wanted to share that comment that you mentioned from James Wheelock. He says steady running attack to beat the Seahawks with that weather. So yeah, and I'm with you. You have Don Malatesta. There we go. Can Rams exploit injury to Seattle's offensive lineman? And I think that's going to be another one as well. And we'll get into all that, Gilbert. But I want to be quick here with Rams news and notes because there's a lot to get into with this matchup. And right off the bat, I said there's drama with the with news and notes here. Well, the Rams' scheduled flight to Seattle is delayed because of mechanical issues, team officials said. And then a tweet from Adam Schefter said that the Rams' new game plan for their trip to Seattle, players and coaches will now leave on a 7:37 schedule for 5:25. So they've been in the air for an hour now. Should get there. It takes about 2.5 hours from what I remember.
Yeah.
And then the remainder of the Ram staff will leave later on another plane. So, yeah, not a good way to start your matchup with the Seahawks by having your plane delayed, Gilbert.
Yeah, and we talked about it on the betting show. I feel like people are getting spooked. There's bad weather. There's engine problems for the plane, or not engine per se, but a bunch of issues from the plane. Puka Nakua is going wild on Twitch, and then Devontae Adams, which you're going to get to right now, has a bad hamstring. So it's not looking good when you're adding up all these issues for the Rams going into a big time showdown. But yeah, noise is noise. Obstacles come and go. As long as they get to the game, I think they'll be fine. But yeah, it's starting to add up here, Vic.
Yeah, it's yeah. There's a lot of things going on here, and as you mentioned, Devontae Adams, he is doubtful with the hamstring, and so is defensive end Braden Fisk is questionable for tomorrow's game against the
Yeah.
Seahawks. So we'll see if either one. I would expect Devontae Adams not to play, but we'll see. Maybe he's a fast healer. And Braden Fisk, I did see that he was howling out there, especially when he got injured against the Lions. I think it was in the second half. So something to kind of monitor there.
Yeah, the Devontae Adams thing is big. Like, by the way, check out the interview with Tyler Dragon that he jumped on Compass on the Beat on Tuesday to give us an early preview of Seahawks Rams. And yeah, I think Tyler also talks Rams on Believe in Rams podcast. He covers the NFL for USA Today. And yeah, he pretty much mentioned, like, man, like, it's like, what do you do when you have Devontae and Puka? What are the safety dudes? How do you play the coverage? And like, Devontae Adams has been so critical for the red zone threat. Just that's why he has a bunch of touchdowns. I lost track, 14, 15. I lost how many touchdowns he
Yeah,
has.
he's still
But
leading the league in touchdowns.
yeah, he might even if he doesn't play again, like, that's how far ahead he is. So yeah, this guy does make a difference, but we're gonna see how they they adjust to that. You do have the good thing about the Rams, like they have a surplus of wide receivers. Maybe Tutu Atwell comes back. Maybe a Jordan Whittington game. Maybe more tight ends in this game. Maybe more Ferguson. I want to see more of him. That guy
Yeah,
could
I'm gonna
play.
give you a name to keep in. We'll talk about it later, but there's a name we gotta talk about.
Yeah, and you will bring him up, but like I want to get on Ferguson. Like I think it's gonna be a
Yep.
game where they use him more because he doesn't like to me when I see him out there. He doesn't look like a tight end, and maybe that could be a bad thing for him because you want him to be a 3 down tight end or 4 down tight end. What it is, but he kind of has a slim frame like a wide receiver. Maybe use him more on the outside and see what he could do, and maybe be more of a red zone threat. He has a good catch radius. He could catch the ball. He could run routes. It's just there's not a lot of snaps for him or targets. So hey, this could be a game for him.
Yeah, especially if they run 12 or 13 personnel. And talking about 12 or 13 personnel, tight end Tyler Higbee and Rob Havenstein won't be back in time for this week's game. McVay said it is because of little practice time, but they should be on board for next week. So we'll see, especially with the extra, what is it, 3 or 4 days you'll get after this game. That'll give them some practice time, and we'll see it. And you have the extra day since it's a Monday night game against the Falcons. Yeah, I was trying to do the math, but yeah, so they'll have an extra day there as well. So we'll see if they're back for the Falcons game. And then just Kyron Williams and Blake Corum making history, Gilbert. Each have had at least 70 yards rushing and a touchdown in 3 straight games, according to the league research. First NFL teammates since 1950 to accomplish that on the ground. Saw that
Wow.
tweet from JB Long. So impressive stuff on the running game, Gilbert. 2 more things here. I'll be quick. Sean McVay announces that Christian McVay was born on Monday morning at 6 a.m. Mom and baby are both healthy. And then last thing, right tackle Warren McClendon, who we talked about and how good he's been for the injured Rob Havenson. He's only allowed 5 pressures and has 1 sack allowed in 7 starts per next gen stats, which also tells you how good this offensive line has been. They haven't missed a beat without Rob Havenstein. So good on Warren McClendon, a former 5th round, another 5th round pick, Gilbert.
Yeah, we mentioned all the concerning issues for the Rams, but when you got an O line that's playing as well as they are, that tends to fix a lot of problems. So yeah, but Clendon is playing pretty well. It's going to be interesting for when Havison comes back. I don't know if you should mess with that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, having a veteran guy like Rob Henderson, but I'm with you, especially if they do well in this matchup against the Seahawks. It'd be hard to put Havenstein back in there. All right, Gilbert, let's get to this matchup. As you mentioned, we had an interview with Tyler Dragon, who does it for USA Today, and he also covers the Rams. He has a podcast there as well. And I'm gonna ask you what I asked him. I guess it's, what are the lessons learned from from the first matchup, and what do you think we'll see? Let's start off with the Seahawks here. We saw the Sam Darnold 4 interception, but even if let's say that was a big factor in the Rams winning, this still was a 2 point game where the Seahawks still had a chance to win the game. That defense made the adjustments in the second half. The Rams got away from running the ball. So for you, let's start off with the Seahawks, or however you want to start this in terms of this matchup. Where are you at as we go into round 2 of this matchup?
Yeah, there's and I know I've been leading this charge and I've been crapping on Sam Darnold a lot, but he has been struggling. I can't remember a game where he played well ever since that Rams game. Maybe
Can I
some
give
crap.
you can I give you a stat right off the bat just to
Yeah,
make
go
the
ahead.
point even bigger?
Yeah.
Since week 11, Gilbert, he has the 4th worst QBR. He's behind. He's only in front of Gino, Tua, and Shador Sanders.
Yeah, that is not good. And I'm looking at their schedule since losing to the Rams, they but they beat the Tennessee Titans, so they almost lost that game, by the way. And he played okay in that game. Then you're playing Minnesota, which they wiped out 26-0, maybe a more defensive game. Uh, they played Atlanta, they dominated 37-9. That was a slow start for Darnold. In the second half, he played better. Then the Colts game was really rough, 18-16. They barely beat the Colts there. Even the week before they lost to the Rams, Darnold, struggled against the Cardinals. They beat the Cardinals soundly, and people were like, "What are you talking about? You only had like 8 attempts." I'm like, "Well, he still threw like an interception and one interception and missed a bunch of throws. Like, how do you do that with only like 9 or 12 attempts?" So, yeah, he's been struggling to me, and it's not a good sign where it's like, okay, it was just one bad game against the Rams. Go back to being the Darnold from Minnesota, being the Darnold from the first 2 months of the season. So, uh, that's concerning. And I know the secondary for the Rams. I'm crapping on the Rams. I crap on Sam Darnold and I crap on the Rams secondary. That's just what I do. I'm sorry. Maybe Darnold could have a get right game against that secondary, but I really liked what I saw from that defense against Detroit, where they have so many weapons, and it was kind of like, all right, we're gonna shut down Jameer Gibbs, and after that, we'll take our chances. And for the most part, it worked. I wouldn't be surprised if Shula has a great game plan to remove JSN, which he did the first time around. I know Rashid Shaheed, from the one positive from this offense that's been struggling, he's kind of been finding a role. He's been getting better. I think in that game, he was maybe in his second game against or with the Seahawks after the trade deadline. So he could be kind of a new wrinkle that's had more games. But I've seen Shula shut down this passing attack, shut down those weapons. They have less in Detroit. But every game is different. I don't want to make it seem like, what happened against Detroit and first game against Seattle is going to be the same thing. It's just their offense is a problem. But on the flip side, their defense is getting better and better. Even from when I called them out, I stopped calling them out because they're playing much better. I don't even care about the opponent. When you're dominating, you know, I think it was the Falcons game was 37-9. They had a shutout there. I already forgot. And then even the Phillip Rivers game, yeah, they could have done better, but they weren't taking any shots. They weren't testing that defense. They were kind of just playing keep away and trying to control the clock. And Jonathan Taylor didn't go off, so it was still a typical Seahawks dominant defense. They just had a way of playing keep away, and then also Darnold was struggling at the same time. So that's why the game was close there. But it's a very good defense, Vic, and one that I will say maybe they figure something out in the second half of that Rams offense. But that Rams offense has gotten better and better also every week.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, before and even after the Seahawks had not allowed a 20-yard run. Kyron Williams got two of them in that first quarter. So it tells you how good they've been, to Tyler Dragon's point that they're stout, with against the run there. And I'll start off there with the defense. I think for the Rams, they need to make sure that they run the ball. You cannot go away from running the ball in this game, especially with the inclement weather, as we talked about how vital that's going to be, and what Kyron Williams and Blake Corum have been doing, splitting the series. I think that's going to be huge. I still think Gilbert, and maybe I'm just optimistic, as we talked about, and I'm glad that Tyler brought up the point about how not having Puka Nakua was a blessing in disguise, because it opened things up for this offense. It allowed them to evolve, and it allowed them to see that they had more parts to it. And I feel like even if you don't have Devontae Adams, a guy that you have to really look at is Kanata Munfio in this game. He has the same features as Devontae Adams. Yes, he does not have the route running yet. He's a rookie, but I feel like he has the body to be able to do the same things that Devontae Adams can do out there. And so he's someone that I want to see in this game get some run, especially for whatever the role was going to be for Devontae Adams in this matchup. And so if you're running 12 or 13 personnel, as Eric pointed out in our first interview for that first matchup, was that the thing with this Seattle defense is they're really good at being able to stop 13 and 12 personnel. And we talked about even running some 11 personnel. If you're going to have if you're going to run 11 personnel, Kanata Monfils needs to be on the field and he needs to be a factor. I don't want to talk about Tutu Atwell. Like we've exhausted our time talking about him. I feel like Kanata Monfils, like this is a game where he can be an X factor, especially if you line up heavily in 11 personnel, Gilbert.
Yeah, and let's remember that first game they played heavy 11 personnel, and the 12 and 13 personnel were all the rage, and it was like, no, we're gonna go play them 11 to spread them out because that was better. Like you mentioned, because Seattle has been shutting down the bigger teams or the jumbo packages and the 12 personnel and the 13 personnel. So yeah, maybe Monfield could fill that role and be the third wide receiver. It'll be interesting to see. You know, would it be Whittington or what the combination to go? Obviously, Puka and Cole is going to be out there, and
Yep.
if they do play 11 personnel, like kind of what goes back to what I want to see. It's like I want to
Yes.
see Ferguson, but
Yeah.
would he
That's
get
what I
any
thought of.
run? When you got Kobe Parkinson, like he's playing well too. So like maybe you use Ferguson as a wide receiver, and maybe you got Monfield there, and then you got Puka, and then you got Parkinson. I don't know. That could still be 12 personnel anyways, regardless how you look at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think when you mentioned those, there has to be one more receiver, Vic. Maybe it could be Whittington because he does a lot. I want me to your right, maybe Xavier Smith. So it's a good way to look at it. It's going to be somebody's going to step up, and it's going to really shine light on how well Les Snead has been drafting and how well Sean McVay gets these guys ready to go. Like, I would not be surprised if Kanata Monfield, like you mentioned, Ferguson, and Blake Corum like leave an imprint in this game. That's two rookies and one second-year guy, and that kind of is going to show you this team knows how to scout. They know how to develop. I know Corum took a while, but what they're doing now is what I envisioned for this team a year ago. So for him to do it a year later, it took a little longer, but he's playing well. So overall, it could be a big time game where some of the young guys step up, and it's that time of year where either rookies hit a wall or rookies are going to make the difference in a team winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And the other thing too that I kind of wanted to bring up here in terms of the storylines and why this game is so huge is like this. One of the things we haven't really talked about, Gilbert, is let's say if the Rams win this game, right? It allows them to now you have a 1 game lead on the Seahawks, right? But not only that, you have the tiebreaker. So then that allows you to give Devontae Adams time to rest for almost a month like a month and a week now, because then you would have the bye week, and then you can also take week 18 off with the Cardinals, because even if you lose that game, you should be able to beat the Cardinals with your backups. I mean, there's no, especially at home with Jimmy G, you should be able to beat the Cardinals. They've pretty much are done, right? But even if at least allows you to lose that game, right? But it also gives the Rams a 20, it moves them up to the highest percentage of any team in terms of being able to win the Super Bowl. It makes them climb up to 23%. So that's huge. Now on the other end, Gilbert, and this is why it's it's the biggest game left on the NFL schedule in the regular season. The other thing is, let's say the Seahawks win the game, right? Guess who now has the potential to win the division? That is the 49ers. If the 49ers win out, they get the number 1 seed.
Wow.
I mean they win the division, maybe not the number 1 seed, but they could be in line because they have victories over the Seahawks. They would have swept the Seahawks if they win in that week 18, and then they end up being the number 1 seed. The winning the division. That bumps the Rams all the way down to either the 6 or the 7 seed at that point. So that's how huge this game and the consequences of whether you win or you lose this matchup. And that's why we talked about it, and we were telling Fernando why this was such a big game, because if it goes either way, it has a big impact on the rest of the season.
Yeah, and that's why we started the show with talking about Puka Nacua and the headaches he's bringing. Again, they're not on the field stuff. If it's off the field crap that you don't really need, like because if you win this game, you could start doing the streaming stuff. You could have a bye week before the playoffs. You could like coast in week 18 and not play anybody, and you could hang out with all the streamers that you want. Not this week. So And you said it perfectly. If the Rams win this game, you pretty much got to beat a freaking Kirk Cousins team with the Falcons on Monday Night Football, and then you clinch the number one seed, you clinch everything, and then you sit in Week 18. I don't know if they're gonna be willing to sit Week 18 and sit wild card. That's 2 weeks off for the team, which I think McVay will take it, knowing his track record. But that's a lot of time to be off, and that's a good problem to have, or problem that you want to deal with. Come that time. But like you mentioned, if they lose, you're opening the door for San Francisco. You're in a three-way battle. You might start start the playoffs on the road. So yeah, it's all bad. So win this game here. So next week, it's pretty much for vacation time. Go beat the Falcons. You help your draft pick. Everything's right here with the golden opportunity. So yeah, I the consequences, man. If they lose, like, and one more thing too, if the Rams handle business, like, you're gonna have the 49ers and the Seahawks just beat each other up for like playoff positioning, not to miss the postseason because the Lions are still
Yep.
there. So you want them to kind of just start beating each other up, and you're healthy and ready to go. So because you might have to face one of these teams again down the line, and because there could be 3 NFC West teams in the postseason. So again, massive game. Everything's right here for you.
Yeah, and we saw Gilbert. We saw this exact same script week 18 between the Lions and the Vikings last year. And we saw what happened. Yes, the Lions ended up losing. They got destroyed by the Commanders. But then the Vikings had to go on the road, even though it was in Arizona, but they got destroyed by the Rams because of it. You don't want to start in the
Yeah.
playoffs on the road. And so this is the exact same script here. You want to make sure you take care of business, just like the Lions did when they swept the Vikings in the second matchup versus the Vikings.
Yeah, but like I mentioned before, like, it's gonna be very difficult to sweep an opponent that is this good. Sometimes
Yeah,
when you're kind of on even levels, you're just gonna split, and then maybe made the best team win the third match in the playoffs. Like, that's gonna be the case. So it's not a gimme by any chance. I know I've been crapping on Darnold. I am worried for the Rams with everything we listed with the Puka stuff, the Devontae injury, the plane issue. And Brian Smith is asking, is Fisk playing? He is questionable, so we're not sure on Braden Fisk just yet. But questionable tag. Maybe he finds a way to play out there. They need him because he hasn't been able to bring or rush the passer, but he's been able to clean the run defense at least.
yeah, and talking about the defense, I think one of the concerns too that we saw with what happened in that first matchup, and one of the things that's been kind of frustrating if you're a Seahawks fan is not being able to get that running game going with Ken Walker and what's the other running back's
Charbonnet.
name? Charbonnet,
Zach
Zach
Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. But one of the things they were really good at doing in that matchup, Gilbert, that I kind of took away was their ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Ken Walker had his best game, like he hasn't had that good of a season, but that was his best game of the season was against the Rams, and it was because they allowed once Sam Darnold was throwing the ball all over the place. They just said I'm sure Mike Macdonald told Clint Kubiak, like, hey, just keep it safe. Don't turn the ball over. And all they did was do the quick pass. And that's one of the things that I am a little concerned about if I'm Chris Shula and that Rams defense is what happens if they run quick game on you to limit Sam Darnold's turnovers here. It is if they dump the ball over, they run screen. One of the things that the Rams have been really bad at this season is covering screens. They were a lot better against the Lions because they that's what they wanted to do. But you also have the concern of getting beat over the top with Shaheed, as you mentioned. So that's also something to keep in mind. I just wonder, especially, and Seahawks will tell you this, Gilbert. I forget the player's name, but his name is Bradford. It's the right guard. He is
Yeah.
terrible. Like there's been so many times people have pointed this out. He just stands there, like he just lets people through. So it'll be interesting. And as someone mentioned, the Seahawks are banged up along that offensive line as well. So you need to take advantage of the opportunities you do get to try to sack Sam Darnold in this game.
That's the problem with Sam Darnold. He doesn't think that fast. He doesn't operate quickly. He doesn't know how to
Yeah,
play on a rhythm. Like that's why guys like Brock Purdy or Jared Goff or Jimmy G back in the day, like they know how to just play fast pace, get the ball out, boom, boom, boom. You process very quickly, and that's not Sam Darnold's game. So when there's pressure, when you already got to think fast to get the ball out, and then the pressure's coming at you, he can't really multitask. And I know I've been crapping on the guy, but his strength is when he has time in the pocket, he could pick you apart downfield. He has a great deep ball. He's very accurate down the field. Like that.
that is
That's
true.
actually good. That is a strength for the guy. Like it's just when it gets a little cloudy there in the pocket, he doesn't know what he's seeing out there. Same thing with the Shula scheme the first time around. He took everything away because he knows Sam Darnold has a big arm. He could throw downfield. He could push it. And when you don't see what you want, now it's like, okay, what's the underneath stuff? And that hasn't been his strength there. So it's gonna be critical, Fisk or not, to put pressure on him to add more to his play or to his mental mind games there. So, but who knows? Maybe he does it. I know I give him a lot of crap. Maybe he's able to use what you said and dump off the ball quick. Don't think about it. And maybe Kubiak makes adjustments where JSN is doing not really going upfield, but little quick passes to move the chains. Like if JSN could become prime Keenan Allen, where it's all about moving the chains and who cares about the yak and who cares about the deep ball, they're going to have a lot of success. The thing with that is JSN, who I'm not saying he can't do it. He's more middle of the field. Give him some time, and he's going to pick you apart. And I'm also not saying all he does is a vertical threat. It's just
Yep.
he has a way of getting 14 and 15 yards, and sometimes in this game you need 5 to 10. And Rashid Shaheed also is a stretch the field guy. So I don't know how many guys they have who get off the ball quickly, and you get them. So, but again, that's the beauty of part two. You kind of you adjust, you find something else, and you ask your personnel to make changes. Maybe you're not comfortable doing that, JSN, but we need you off the line of scrimmage. Boom, right away, turn around. Here's a pass.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say in terms of Darnold is I'll be really interested to see how many times they roll him out. Like you just mentioned, if
I could be
if
right.
you put him on boots and you roll him out, that is something where you can help him with a lot of that pressure, and it also allows him to kind of be on the move to be able to not get pressure as much. So that's something. But you also, Gilbert, in order to do that, you got to make sure you are able to run the ball, and two, are willing to get under center. And I just don't know if they're willing to get under center if you have a beat up offensive line and you don't trust your running back. So again, there's a lot to think about there. I'll be paying attention to those little
You
things
use the
there.
tight ends more. Use Barner. Use Arroyo. That's a good call by you. If you are gonna put them on the move for rollout, you better have the tight ends who are ready to go because, yeah, you also can't just play a lot of guys up close because you still got to try to break that shell. So if you're gonna send your guys up to go deep for maybe a deep shot down the line, the tight ends got to come through.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's get to these comments, and then we'll get to our we'll get to our keys here, and then we'll finish up. Let's start off with Brian Smith. He says Fisk is necessary. We're going to put any pressure on Darno. I I think we both agree here, right?
Yeah, again, the sacks don't really come, but he's creating havoc in the trenches. He's pushing the pocket, and if you feel like the pocket's going to collapse, Darnold tends to struggle. So when Fisk is out there, he does that. And I know Puna Ford gets a lot of credit for the run defense, but he's been better this year.
Don Malatesta says, given the importance of this game, do you think McVay may use some new play packages to surprise Seattle?
Yeah, I think so. This game is all about adjustments. You can't just do the same thing. He knows that. They know they're going to do something different. So that's the beauty of this game here.
Yeah, especially like we said, you might not show everything in that first matchup, especially since there's a potential that you might be facing this team 3 times. So,
Yeah.
yeah, something you have to bring. That's why I said that there was it was the fact that Puka missed that game helped them kind of evolve. I feel like if Devontae is out, which I think he will be, then this allows you to evolve again, and that's why we even said that I think Ferguson and Kanata and Monfield are going to be huge in this matchup because they haven't been used or you haven't been seeing them used in any of the packages. So that'll be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm with you. Time to step up.
Yeah, Brian Smith, Murchison is heating up a little bit this season. He's capable. He's a capable fist backup. So yeah, and he Murchison. I honestly forgot he was still on the team. Just with Tyler Davis being in the fold, Puna Ford,
Yeah.
and then what they've been able to do. So
Kobe
um,
Turner. I got a bunch of
Kobe
DBs.
Turner. Yeah, so like all those guys, you're gonna need that whole front to step up, continue to stop the run, and then finally put some pressure, especially like that what we saw in those three and outs in the second half. That's what you're gonna want to see most of this game against Sam Darnold, because like the Lions' offensive line doesn't compare to the Seahawks. They haven't their tackles are okay, and the rookie Sable is good, but those two interior guys on the left and the right guard aren't up to the same level as what you saw from the Lions there. Last one here from Brian. Lake was out against Seattle the first time we played Seattle, if I remember right. I want to say he got hurt that game.
Yeah, he got hurt in that game. He played.
Yeah.
I looked it up, Brian, because I just forgot. But he had 3 tackles in that game, so he definitely played. That was the last game he played against Seattle, and then he went on IR, which is a big
Yep.
miss.
Yeah, yeah, and they've missed him. That he's been a big miss for them. All right, Gilbert, let's get to our keys to a Rams win versus the Seahawks. What do you got?
Yeah, I know it's not going to be the same game. It won't be the same game plans. I just cannot trust Sam Darnold. Uh, you know, I also like this Rams offense to score points on that defense. I think it's going to be a game where it's going to be like, okay, the Rams do well. Now the Seahawks defense, they're gonna change roles of who's doing well because the defense is that good for Mike Macdonald and Stafford's offense is that good. I said this is the best offense in football that Stafford has. Mike McDonald's defense is top 3. I don't know about best defense. That belongs to the Houston Texans, and then Denver number 2. So Seattle's number 3 in my book. But still, that's going to be a chess match between the two brilliant minds, McVay and Mike McDonald. But that's what I want to watch. Rick. I want to see whoever wins that battle between Mike McDonald and Sean McVay is going to win this game here. I know Chris Shula and Clint Kubiak is also very good, but I cannot wait to see what those guys do.
Yeah, you're talking about like kind of like the play calling. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go head coach here, and
yeah,
I'm gonna say the key is how aggressive McVay is in this matchup is gonna be a big key compared to what Mike McDonald does. We've both called it out. He is super conservative. He wants his defense to win the game for them. He's gonna rely on his kicking game and his defense to win the game. If you're Sean McVay, you need to be aggressive. You need to be aggressive on fourth down because we saw Mike McDonald isn't. He's always gonna settle for the field goal. And so for me, what was the big difference in that first matchup was the fact that the Rams scored touchdowns and the Seahawks settle for field goals in the red zone. So to me, continue to be aggressive, Sean McVay, and continue to score touchdowns in the red zone. To me, that is a big key for the Rams to win this game.
yeah. And take it a step further. Like I've been talking about game plan. You're talking about play calling. Definitely also like late game situation. Like don't avoid the run. Keep going with the run. If you get a lead, press on the gas. If you fall behind, don't lose trust in the run. Like these are all things we've been harping on McVay. So yeah, the pressure's on him too. On him too. Like you got to be aggressive. You got to say what's working, and don't go away with the run. So a lot of pressure on the both head coaches who happen to call plays on the opposite sides of each other. So it makes for even better battle, which is
Yeah,
kind of
and
rare.
and who's better at delegating, man? Like that's one of the things too. Like if you're seeing that your offense is struggling, if you're Mike McDonald, like do you tell Clint Kubiak like, hey, like just keep me close. All our defense and our kicking game will get us there. So or whether he tells them, you know what, as we said, hey, the only way we're gonna beat the Rams is if we're aggressive with Sam Darnold, and so that that is coaching there,
Yeah.
and
And
then
one more thing, you've been on this. Like, what if like McVay has more trust in LaFleur now? Like, hey, if you want to go with it, like you just run it by through McVay, and
yep.
he's kind of actually calling the plays. That gives him more freedom to manage the damn game and timeouts and late game situation of football. Like, I think LaFleur might have earned some trust there from McVay, which will take pressure off of him.
Yeah, and hopefully he does, like, especially the way they've been running the ball, man. Like, it's there. Like, you've seen the production now. Just continue to go with it. Here's a key from Delbert. He says the Rams O line will be key in a run in the pass game, control the clock, be consistent defensively, get to QB regularly. Still waiting a run back. Waiting on a run back. We still need to see the special teams do
Yeah.
something, and I think that's another one, Gilbert. That the kicking game. I want to see Mevis under pressure here. If he's allowed to kick a field goal, whether or not McVay trusts him in a spot like this, that'll be something to keep in to kind of look forward to as well, Gilbert.
Yeah, he's been playing well. A thicker kicker, man. He's been balling.
Yeah. All right. Here's one more from Brian. Tomorrow's a must win. Can you imagine if the Rams having a 4-loss season and having to play on the road as a wild card versus Philly, Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit, or even Carolina?
Ask the Minnesota Vikings about that. The team the Rams
Yep.
beat, they were 14-3.
Yeah. So you never know. And I know you say maybe not Detroit, but if the Detroit wins out, they might win the division. So
They got a
there's
chance,
also
though.
the
Yeah,
possibility.
good chance because the Green Bay and Chicago have difficult schedules to end the season.
Yep. Yep. All right, Gilbert. The we talked about it on our betting show. The Rams are 1.5 point underdogs. They were, I think, 2 or 3.5 point favorites earlier in the week, but the they've been betted down to now they're the underdog by 1.5. The over under here is 42.5. What's the right side of this bet?
Yeah, it's a close game regardless, but since I think the Rams are going to win this game here, so I will take the point. I'll take the 1.5. Maybe it is a close game. Like say the Seahawks win by a last second field goal to win by a point, you still get the half point, and then you get the cover. So, yeah, it's kind of wild that this game has shifted. It was Rams as a favorite for all week. And then now the Seahawks are the favorite, and I think it's all the outside noise that the Rams have been dealing with the last couple of days. Again, Puka Nakua and his live stream with the homies there, and then
Gilbert,
Devontae
they're
Adams
they're
injury.
having Gary Klein. He just wrote a story about the Revs are the worst. Rams Puka
No,
Nakua suggests NFL referees are throw flags just to. They're having Gary Klein had a write about this about.
no, I think he credits one of his coworkers. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but yeah,
Yeah,
that's a streamer world. So I'm glad Gary didn't have to deal with
I
that.
was gonna
Uh,
say you're right. I just saw that.
But yeah, I've been thinking like, man, like I wonder if anybody's gonna ask Puka about this. Like, is he gonna be on the lock? Well, it's travel day, right? So there was no point
Right.
anyway.
No,
So
the only time you're gonna hear
yeah,
about this is if
it's tomorrow night, maybe.
right, whether they win or they lose. Now,
Yeah.
Gilbert, if they lose, does he talk?
Uh,
That's
Probably not. You're gonna get the
yep,
hell out of there with all the
yep.
controversy. But anyways, uh, yeah, that's part of it. The plane problems. There's a lot going on here. That's why I think the Rams are underdogs right now.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I really like the under here at 42.5.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Rams are 10-4 against the spread this season, so they've been good. Um, so let's get to it. Rams versus Seahawks. What is your prediction? We have a couple. If you want me to show them here, we have Brian
yeah.
Smith, 24-23 Rams. So he has it by one point.
Bad. You know what? I'll go with the over. It's kind of a low scoring for a Rams game, but I get the Seahawks defense is good. They might run the football, and also there's a lot of weather issues. So, but I'll say something like 24-20 Rams. That's 44 points. Barely get the over on that one. So yeah, I'll say 24-20 Rams win the game.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 3 points. I think it's going to be a close game. The Seahawks defense is really good. They're not as good in terms of record wise at home under Mike Macdonald, which is kind of weird. They're better on the road. Um, and so like their defense travels, which is good. You know, if you're a defense, you like to see that. But and then I think the weather element's going to come into play here, Gilbert. That's why I like the under here. I think it's going to be something like 17-14, where
Wow.
it's just one of those like it's going to be a ball control game. They're going to run the ball. I just, if you have any fantasy players in this that is not the defense, I would sit them outside of Puka and JSN. Those are the only two guys in fantasy that I even trust in this game. But outside of that, I just don't. I think it's going to be a big running of the ball just because of the weather.
Yeah, it's gonna be a physical, hard hitting game, but maybe you're onto something. Maybe somebody runs back a touchdown and special teams, and it adds up to the point total there.
Brian says AI indicates the Rams have landed in
Ah, okay,
Seattle. So
that's good. They're there for the game with and plenty of time to go sleep and rest
yeah,
and avoid Twitch.
maybe Puka's gonna open up another stream and
No, please,
say
no,
his side of it.
don't jump on Twitch.
No more Twitch, Puka. Stay away from Twitch until after the Seahawks game. All right, Gilbert. So we've given our preview. We've breaking in every way. We got Tyler Dragon to jump on, even though Fernando wanted to talk Chiefs instead of this Rams Seahawks matchup. But it, you know, I honestly like. I wish this game was on Sunday, but I get it. Like we get it on Thursday night, and I have to say the NFL has done a good job of getting the games we want, especially in prime time lately. So they, you know, one of the things they've done is they put all the good quarterbacks early matchups in the early in the season because of injuries, and then late in the season they give us all the good matchups. So kudos to them, but can't wait. It's good slate of games in week 16.
Yeah, starting on Thursday night here, Rams versus Seahawks for all the marbles here, and we already laid out what happens to the winner, what happens to the loser. But we could break down this game for hours, and we never know what the hell is going to happen. So let's enjoy the games here. Yeah, yeah. Brian's adding more information for the Puka mess here.
Oh no.
it's not a good sign. But yeah, let's get going here before Puka gets in trouble again. Rams Seahawks monster game here for Thursday Night Football. And if you're watching the replay, drop your prediction for the score in the comments and any thoughts that you have in the game. We want to hear them. Check out the Tyler Dragon interview. NFL reporter for USA Today breaks it down on Compas on the Beat, House of Horns. So a lot of coverage for this game here, just like we did the first time around. So can't wait to get to the game. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues.